Have you been wanting to eat healthier, but just thought it was too much work and too expensive? Well, you've come to the right place because that's what we're going to talk about this week. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This week, I will be sharing with you a 7-day whole foods diet plan that I worked on recently. So working on being healthier, cutting out processed foods, that was really my goal. And also, of course, to make it super budget friendly as much as I possibly could. So with that, let me share with you what that 7-day meal plan looked like. So recapping, what I'm going for is whole foods, so the least amount of processed foods, spending under $5 a day, and that includes all my breakfast, lunch, dinners, and snacks. I'll quickly go through each of the meals that I made that day and the cost per meal, and at the very end, we'll add up the total and see how we did for the week. Day one of eating super healthy, we started with some banana oatmeal with some almond milk. And then for lunch, we did a veggie hummus wrap. So I used a keto whole wheat tortilla and then just spread about 2 servings worth of hummus all over that. I used a red pepper hummus that has a yummy flavor to it, and then some carrots, some onions, some cucumbers cut in spears. And then I put a big, huge handful of spinach into this. Maybe that was a little bit too much. It did make it really hard to wrap up. So that was my hummus wrap, and that came in at $2.04. So doing pretty good for the day so far. For dinner, I decided to do some stuffed bell peppers. So started with some quinoa that I had prepared before, some black beans that I had prepared before, a little bit of corn, a little bit of no salt taco seasoning, stirred that up. And then in there, I also added a Roma tomato and just cooked it till it was warm. I took a bell pepper, cut it in half, and I put it in the microwave a little bit to soften. Put my filling inside of there, just a little bit of grated cheese, popped it in the oven till it got nice and brown, and then plated that up. And so my stuffed pepper came in at $1.75. Very good so far. And my snack that day was some carrots and some hummus, and that was just 36 cents. Day two, keeping with the oatmeal banana theme, I ground up some oatmeal to a flour consistency, put that in a bowl, took a banana and mashed that up in with my oatmeal flour, threw an egg in there, and I'm looking for a batter consistency for this for some pancakes. So that was some baking powder I put in there and just mushed it up. I decided to put a second egg in there. It was way too thick. So a second egg, and then now I have a really nice batter, and then I just fried that up on a hot pan with a little bit of cooking spray and just kind of mashed those around to make like a pancake size and thickness. And then when those were done, just flipped those over, and I served it with some butter and some maple syrup. So those oatmeal pancakes came in at $1.48. For lunch, we're making a black bean quesadilla. So starting with some black beans that I had pre-cooked at the beginning of the week in a fry pan with a little bit of oil, and those did have little onions in them, some salt, some cumin for some added flavoring into those, a little bit of garlic powder. I'm just trying to flavor the beans. The beans don't have a ton of flavor, and then I'm mashing them up or refrying them in that fry pan. I don't have that many because I'm just making a little quesadilla. And so once those were pretty mashed down, I threw some corn in there. And I'm just really wanting it to get warmed up at this point. And so this is going to be my filling. So I just warmed up the beans and the corn until the corn had heated through because I had just pulled that out of a can. And then just making sure that I'm satisfied with the consistency. I let it cook down a little tiny bit. And then onto a hot griddle, I took some oil, and that gives the quesadilla a really nice texture. And so I put the tortilla down there, and then I'm just spreading my corn and bean mixture over half of it. And then a little bit of cheese. The cheese is optional. I like the cheese in a quesadilla. So once that was done cooking, I just plated that up, and my little black bean quesadilla came in at $1.26. And for dinner, I just roasted some sweet potatoes and a chicken thigh, and that was just a simple oven dinner, and it came in at $1.27. And then my snack that day was just some cantaloupe, and that was 25 cents. For day 3, for breakfast, I did some chia pudding, just chia seeds, almond milk, maple syrup, and banana overnight. That was $1.33. For lunch, I decided to do some quinoa salad with the rest of the quinoa that I'd prepared. So I had quinoa, some corn in it, some black beans that I had also prepared, a little bit of bell pepper chopped up, a little bit of cilantro, and then some lime juice for some freshness, and then just mix that all up. I don't believe I added salt and pepper. You could add salt and pepper. And so that was my quinoa salad for day 3, and that was $1.43. For dinner, I decided to do a stir fry. So I started with some vegetables that I had in the fridge. So carrots, onions, some bell peppers, about a cup of it. And then I also had some leftover vegetables from the garden that I had cooked. So that was another cup. So 2 cups all together. And then I did some tofu. I just fried that up. And so that day 3 dinner ended up being $1.35. And then for snack that day, I just did some more cantaloupe at 25 cents. Starting day 4 off with some more banana oatmeal, 63 cents. For lunch, I made a chickpea salad, just combining ingredients. That was 66 cents. And then for dinner, I decided to do some salmon with roasted carrots and brown rice. So putting the carrots and the salmon on a cookie sheet, drizzling some olive oil on it, and then just some simple salt and pepper, popping that in the oven and roasting it at 400 degrees for about 25 minutes until the carrots were done and the fish was done. And then serve that with a little bit of brown rice. And so that dinner came in at $2.20. And then snack that day was just a little bit of almonds, and those were about 99 cents. Starting day 5 off with some Greek yogurt, some berries, and honey at $1.40. I had some leftover quinoa salad at $1.43. For dinner, I did another stir fry, this time with rice instead of tofu. That was only 63 cents for my dinner. And then my snack that day was some cucumbers and hummus at 58 cents. So a very yummy day. For day 6, I had the same breakfast. It was so good. The yogurt with the berries and honey, $1.40. I finished off that chickpea salad. That was 66 cents. And then for dinner, I decided to make some chili with some sweet potatoes or yams. So starting with some onions and some garlic in a pan, just cooking that, sauteing it until it's soft, and then threw in some chunks of sweet potatoes, a little bit of cumin, a little bit of chili powder, and then a whole can of diced tomatoes with the juice still in there. And then I just cooked that down until those sweet potatoes were nice and soft. So it cooked for quite a while, like 20 minutes on the stove. And I just watched it and just kept checking those potatoes. And then I added in the equivalent of about a can of beans with some extra water in there. Those were homemade black beans. And then just simmered that down until it was a nice chili consistency, and then served that up for dinner. It was super yummy, and it was only 90 cents. So a really good, healthy dinner for a very affordable price. For snack that day, I did a whole apple with some peanut butter, and that came in at 51 cents. We started day 7 off with a banana smoothie. So 1 banana, and then I just took a couple handfuls of spinach and put it in the cup with some almond milk, and then just put that on the little blender and made it into a smoothie texture. This was surprisingly good. I would have frozen the banana if I made another one of those, and it was pretty inexpensive at only 84 cents. And then for lunch, I made some lentil soup. So started with some onion, just diced up, put it in the pan, and then 1 good big clove of garlic. Saute that until the onions started to get translucent. And then once they started to get translucent, I added in 1 carrot and 1 stalk of celery that I had diced up. So I just got that cooking, and then I wanted to soften the carrots a little bit because they are very hard. And so I cooked that just for a little bit longer before I moved on to my next step, which was adding in a can of tomatoes. So a whole can of diced tomatoes with the juice still in there. I dumped that in, and then I filled that same can with some vegetable broth and dumped it in. If you had just a can of vegetable broth, you could do that as well. And then half a cup of lentils. So this is enough for two people, very hearty portion for two people. Mix that in and then just put a lid on it, let it simmer until those lentils got nice and soft. It was about 30-35 minutes, and then that's what I had for lunch that day. And then for dinner, I had some salmon with broccoli this time and a little bit of brown rice. And then my snack for that day was apple and peanut butter at 51 cents. Before we get into the grand totals, I wanted to share with you all of the things I did get at the grocery store for the week. It was well over 1 week's worth of food. I would say it's going to be 3 weeks to 4 weeks worth of food that I have, but that is what I bought for the week. Now, as far as our totals go, day 1 through 7, usually around $4 is what it looks like, but our grand total for the week for that exact amount of food was only $30.09, which equates to only $4.30 a day. So way cheaper than I imagined, totally doable on a budget. Well, there you have it. There's what I did for a 7-day meal plan, eating whole foods on a budget. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any additional tips or recipes you want to share with the group, please leave them in the comments below. And until next time, bye!